Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Marathon Wednesday, and today we've got yet another viewer's request. And today we're going to be looking at Echo and the Bunnymen. Now I'm going to be quite honest here. The only Echo and the Bunnymen stuff that I'd heard are the singles. And they're a band that I don't dislike. I've always thought they've played some good music. So when I was asked to rank Echo and the Bunnymen, this was the first time I'd really sat down and listened to all their albums, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's amazing when I remember them when they were out, but I was too busy into headbanging in them days. But now I really appreciate their music today, and now realise what an important part of the pop culture of the 80s that they were, and how they influenced music. They had some really strong singles, and I always did like them. So Echo and the Bunnymen were actually formed in 1978. The original lineup was vocalist Iain McCulloch, guitarist Will Sargent, bass player Les Patterson, and the late Pete DeFreitas on drums. They debuted their first album in 1980. They had a really good run. They split up for a little while, and then they've come back strong. So they've released 13 albums in their career to date. So we'll have a look at them. So coming in at number 13, we have from 2018 their most current album. It's called The Stars, the Ocean and the Moon. And basically it's Iain McCulloch doing guitar, bass, rhythm, keyboards, production, and Will Sargent on guitar and steel guitar. Basically they've re-recorded some of their older songs. And the songs on this album are Bring On the Dancing Horses, The Somnambulist, I think that's how you pronounce it, Nothing Lasts Forever, Lips Like Sugar, Rescue, Dust, Angels and Devils, Bedbugs and Ballyhoo, Zimbo, Stars Are Stars, Seven Seas, Ocean Rain, The Cutter, How Far and The Killing Moon. Okay, when it comes to albums that have been redone, this isn't too bad. You know the songs, you know some of the hits are there, and they're not bad versions. It is sort of a greatest hits album, isn't it? I don't think some of them haven't got the same ring as the originals, but it's not a bad listen. I'm going to state that this is not a bad listen. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 12, we've got the 6th album from 1990, Reverberation. Now this is a change of lineups. Iain McCulloch had left the band, and we'd had the sad death of Pete DeFreitas, who got killed in an accident. But remaining members, Will Sargent and Les Patterson, were joined by ex-Vicious Dance singer Noel Burke. So the band is Noel Burke, vocals, guitar and piano, Will Sargent, guitar, loops and auto harp, Les Patterson on bass, Jake Brockman on the mellotron and farfisa, Damon Reese on drums. So the first track is called Gone, Gone, Gone. Now it's got that, it's the Echo and the Bunnymen when you listen to the music, but it's the vocal. I don't know, Noel's a good singer, but it's not Iain. That's all I'll say. The next track enlightened me. I do like this one. It's my favourite track. It sort of sounds very Iain McCulloch. It's a really good track. Cried, Cut and Dried. I love the drumming on this. It's really good. Some good guitar work from Will. Not a bad track actually. King of the Castle. It's Leslie's bass line that's pretty good. Solid track. Devilment. It's a good vocal from Noel. I don't mind that track at all. Thick Skinned World, another of my favourites on here. Nice arrangement. The band sound great. I'll give them that. It sounds good. Freaks Dwell. Solid. You know it's Echo and the Bunnymen by the sound. Senseless. Just another solid track. Flaming Reg, not a particular favourite of mine. It's a little bit dour in places. And the last track, False Goodbyes. Sounds a bit flat, I don't know. It's not a bad album. It's just strange not hearing Iain singing. But I suppose we'd all got used to Ian McCulloch having someone, a prominent singer. But yeah, it was a good listen, I must admit, and I have listened to it a couple of times. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay then, coming in number 11, we've got the 8th album from 1999, and it's called What Are You Going to Do With Your Life? This is after Les Patterson had left. He had a bit of a spat with Ian McCulloch. They used session musicians to record this, and the London Metropolitan Orchestra providing backing music, and the American rap rock band Fun Loving Criminals also appeared on here. So you've got Ian McCulloch vocals, guitar and piano, Will Sargent will lead on lead guitar. Guests on here playing the bass is the wonderful Guy Pratt, excellent bass player. Drums on here are Jeremy Stacey, percussion Harry Morgan, keyboards Mark Taylor, Paul Williams does backing vocals, Les does play on Fools Like Us, Michael Lee drums on Baby Rain and Morning Sun, the London Metropolitan Orchestra do the strings, and the Fun Loving Criminals are guest musicians on Get in the Car and When It Blows Over. Okay, the first track is the title track, What Are You Going to Do With Your Life? I like this song, it's a nice vocal for me, and that lovely combination of both the electric and guitar and acoustic guitars rings through on here. Rust, my favourite album on here, and it's that lovely acoustic guitar tone that really adds. Get in the Car, some nice gentle brass on here from the orchestra. And yeah, the backing vocals are done by the Fun Loving Criminals. It's a fun song. It's a really fun song. Baby Rain, another really nice song. I love the strings and woodwind on this. Nice guitar work from Will, as ever. Pretty good. History Chimes, great vocal for me, and a lovely piano. I just love it when it's one man, one piano and singing. Lost on You is the next track. It's pretty good, got a nice steady bass line. Morning Sun, bit of a psychedelic guitar sound on here, pretty cool. When It Blows Over, solid track, very catchy tune. It's you got the Fun Loving Criminals on this, may added a little bit of fun to it. And Fools Like Us, full orchestra on the track, great vocal, and this is the one that Les plays on. It's pretty good. It really frustrates me when I have to put a really solid album like this at number 11, because it's a really good album. The orchestra on here sounds fantastic. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 10 from 2009, the 11th album, The Fountain. So it's basically Ian McCulloch doing guitars, piano, keyboards, percussion, produces it. Will Sargent, guitars, piano, keyboards, drums and percussion. Got a guest on here. Some guests on here. Additional keyboards, Paul Fleming, Gordy Goody. Guitars, Ebo on The Fountain and Steel on The Idleness of Gods. And Nick Carone on drums and percussion, and loops on Everlasting Never Endless. So the first track on here is called Think I Need It Too. Got a good track to open up the album with. Nice guitars, gets you straight into the album, sets a good trend for the album. Really solid track. Forgotten Fields, another great drum performance here. I'm not quite sure who does the drums on this, but it's a really good, and the vocal is fantastic from Iain. Great singer Iain is. Do You Know Who I Am? Good old fashioned Echo and the Bunnymen track. Does what it says on the tin. Shroud of Turin, some nice guitar here from Will again. Well thought out song, excellent. Life of a Thousand Crimes, one of my favourite tracks on this one. The arrangements are good. It's got a really sharp vocal. I love that bit in the middle as well. It's got a lovely melodic sound to it. Excellent track. The Fountain, my favourite track on here. It's just the guitars and the drumming. It just really good. Everlasting, Never Endless. Love the guitars from Gouldy on here, and Will, nice crisp sound. Proxy, start of this is quite electronic and go, oh, what's going on here? And then it sort of goes into a lovely piano track, back to what we expect from the band. Drive Time. One thing I do like about this band, how they combine the electric and acoustic guitar sound. It gives it quite a unique sound. It's really good. Great vocal for me, and on that one as well. Idleness of Gods. Nice gentle track, few strings, really, really good. Okay, this is a pretty solid album from Echo and the Bunnymen. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good listen. I enjoy it. I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay then, coming in at number 9, we go to 1997. And it's Evergreen. And it's their first album since reforming after they disbanded in 1993. And Les Patterson joined them on this as well. So this is Ian McCulloch, Will Sargent, Les Patterson and Michael Lee on drums. Who's the sessions. Adam Peters comes in and does some strings and keyboards. Ed Shearmore does the piano, and the London Metropolitan Orchestra are back, and backing vocals from a certain Liam Gallagher on Nothing Lasts Forever. Okay, the first track, Don't Let It Get You Down. Lovely guitar from Will on this. The drum mix is a little bit iff, and it's a bit hollow in places, but hey ho. It's My Time. I love the start of this. It's got that 60s popper feel to it. That lovely combination of both acoustic and electric guitars. A great vocal. It reminds me of some of the Smith stuff as well. I Want to Be There When You Come. My favourite track on here. It's got a really heavy riff, and it's quite heavy for Echo and the Bunnymen. Great stuff. Evergreen. The drum beat's a bit interesting. It just sort of entwines around the guitars. Nice little track. I Fly Tonight. I think Will Sargent is a very underrated guitar player. He gets some lovely tones on his guitar, and this is one of them tracks. Nothing Lasts Forever. Nice arrangement. The strings, even Liam Gallagher's backing vocals sound nice, and it's got a brassy feel to it as well. Really good. Baseball Bill, a rocky one, some nice guitar riffs from Will, really good solo on this, and a fine vocal from Iain as well. Altamont, very consistent track, very good, keeping up the quantity and quality of the work on this album. Just a touch away, the strings and the acoustic guitar work wonderful on there. Empire State Halo, we got the full use of the London Metropolitan Orchestra that really gives this track some nice depth. Very good track. Too Young to Kneel, that lovely acoustic electric combo on this again, excellent. And the last track, Forgiven, some lovely guitar effects and sounds on this. Nice echoey sound on it as well. It's a really nice song to end the album. Once again, not a bad track on this pretty solid album. Really enjoy listening to this one, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Time for a drink thing. Okay then, coming in at number 8, we have the 9th album from 2009, Flowers. Ian McCulloch, vocals, guitar and piano. Will Sargent, lead guitar and tambourine. Alex Germain's on bass and backing vocals. Seri James on keyboards. Vincent Jameson on the drums and congas, tambourine and shakers. King of Kings. Now this is quite a commercial track. I love it. And it's a great vocal from Iain. It just really is a catchy tune to open up an album. Super Mellow Man. It is what it says. It's mellow. It's got some nice guitar sounds. Ambient. Very good track. Hide and Seek. Very psychedelic and dreamy start. I love the start. The riff is very dreamy and ambient. And it's a lovely track. Make Me Shine. Another dreamy track. There's so many of these. There's some lovely guitar tones on here. Lovely ambience to this track. It's Alright. Solid again. To be quite honest, there's nothing you can dislike about this track. It's just really good. Buried Alive. My favourite track on here. It's such a dreamy song. Some nice guitars in this. You can just float off on that track. The title track, Flowers. Love the guitar work from Will. The lead guitar sounds great on this. Everybody Knows. Very quirky track. The piano is wonderful. Another good solo. Solid track. Life Goes On. Now this has got this very 1960s pop feel to it. Very hippie type sort of thing. Really, really strong track. Eternity Turns. The beginning of this sounds a bit like Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. It's that sort of riff in that tune, but it's not the same. But yeah, it's probably a bit of copying, but it works out well because that's the only bit you get that sounds like that. Burn For Me. Wonderful out track. Just like the beginning one, it catches you. It's got a lovely melody. It's a relaxing and gentle track. This is a really ambient and a different dreamy, a little bit different for them, but I think it worked for me personally. Very psychedelic in places. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay then, number 7. We go to 2005 now. And Siberia. Iain McCulloch and Will Sargent. And they have got with them on bass Pete Wilkinson, Paul Fleming on the keyboards and Simon Finley on drums. Hilary Browning plays cello on a couple of tracks. Kate Evans and Martin Richardson play violin as well. John Robert Shepley on viola. Mimi McCulloch on tambourine. Stormy Weather. I love the start of this. It's a really lifting track. Fantastic vocal from Iain. You know it's Echo and the Bunnymen. It's got their signature sound all over it. Absolutely killer track. My favourite track though is this one, All Because of Your Days. Starts with a great piece of guitar. The drums come in. It's just a lovely song. I really like that. Parthenon Drive. Love the bass on this from Peter Wilkinson. Sort of drives the song along. Solid. The bass is very prominent and you do hear it a lot. In the Margins. I think this would be a very ordinary track if we didn't have this string quartet or what it was. It just gives it some extra depth. Really nice track again. On Our Life, one of my favourite tracks on here. The drum tempo on this is quite good. Some great guitar work from Will. Super track. Make Us Blind. Quirky. I love Echo and the Bunnymen quirky tracks, and this is one of them. Everything Kills You. We've gone back to that lovely acoustic electric guitar sound. I just love it. It's Iain's vocal though that made that song. Siberia, the title track. Interesting. Bit different. It's a nice gentle guitar and you think, oh, this is nice. And then all of a sudden you get this chunky thing. Some great drumming on this. I think it's done with brushes because it's got that real gentle sound. Sideways 8. Solid song. Really catchy melody on this. The guitar work is pretty good. Scissors in the Sand, it's just a good solid alternative rock track. Great riffs in this one, love that track. What If We Are, a gentle track, simple guitar and piano and simple vocals, nothing flashy to end the album. Another good album. This is one of the, I think some of their later albums are totally dismissed, which is such a shame because there's some great stuff on it. This one is actually was not critically welcome, but I think it's a super album. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay then, coming in at number 6, this is the 12th album from 2014 and it's called Meteorites. It's Iain McCulloch and Will Sargent, of course, and the additionals on here is Martin Glover or Youth on bass in production, Eddie Bandana, Jamie Gratian, Tom Gratian, additional engineering. Why did I put that on? I don't know, but there you go. So the first track is Meteorites. Really like this song. The strings are on this are fantastic, and it's got quite an ambience. I think that must be the Martin Glover influence. Holy Moses, another interesting track, an interesting vocal. It's quite quirky. I think working with Youth or Martin Glover, whatever you want to call him, is really, his influences are definitely on this album. Then we've got Constantinople. It's got that real sort of Persian feeling to it. The sound is wonderful. My favourite track. You know, I love this mystique East sound. Is this a breakdown? Very psychedelic. Just a very catchy tune. Grapes Upon the Vine. Iain McCulloch's vocals are still as strong as ever. His voice hasn't changed that much. I love this track. I love the string complement. I like the way it's been put together. It's everything's such clear and vibrant. Lovers on the Run, my second favourite track on here. It's just got the string and the acoustic guitar. It just sounds fantastic. It's got that ELO strings feel to it as well. I like that. Burn It Down. I'm not into this sort of style of music, but it's got some gentle strings that sort of calm it down. Explosions, another great track with a really good melody. I think the harmony singing on this is great. Market Town comes next. It's a long track, but it's quirky and split into different sort of textures, and so it doesn't, the 7 minutes doesn't seem to be going on and on. It goes very quickly. New Horizons is the last track, and it's one of them dreamy float away songs. The drumming's nice and just some lovely string works. This actually is one of the newer albums by Echo and the Bunnymen. It's one of my favourites. I think Martin Glover helps here. You know, the production on it is really good. It doesn't matter, you know, Martin Glover or Youth. Some of the stuff he does I don't mind, but I do think he is a very good producer. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.7. Okay, coming in at number 5, we got the 5th album, and it was the last one that featured Pete Freitas before he died in the motorcycle accident, and it's just called Echo and the Bunnymen. So we got the classic lineup of Echo and the Bunnymen: Iain McCulloch, Will Sargent, Les Patterson and Pete Freitas. Additional musicians on here, we had Henry Priestman on keyboards, along with Jake Brockman, and the one and only legendary keyboard player from The Doors, Ray Manzarek. And we got Stephen Morris doing drums on Soul Kitchen. The Game, brilliant signature. Pete Freitas drumming on this, absolutely killer. Will's guitar work is from great track. Over You, another great track. Solid bass from Les, brilliant. Then we got my favourite track, Bedbugs and Ballyhoo. It's my favourite because the keyboard work from Ray is just out of the top. draw. You know it's him. It's just a wonderful track. All in your mind. Some lovely guitar tones on here. Classic Echo and the Bunnymen here. Bombers Bay, more great drumming from Pete. I love how he stops and starts and keeps it in time at the same time. Lips Like Sugar, another one of my favourite songs by Echo and the Bunnymen. It's just them lovely guitars, tones, and a great vocal from Iain. Lost and Found, one of the great tracks off this album. Just solid work all round. New Direction, I love the vocal from Iain on this, absolutely superb. Blue Ocean, outstanding track. Les's bass line is brilliant. The guitar work from Will is a top drawer again. Satellite, another great track. All My Life, the last track. This is probably one of the tracks I'm not keen on in their entire catalogue. Just doesn't go with me. Considered apparently one of their best of their classic period of the band. It was a great album. Phil de Freitas plays cricket. It's Pete de Freitas that played drums. It was his last album for his tragic accident. It's just really good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 up to 10. Okay then, coming in at number 4. We're now going into classic. Definitely classic Echo and the Bunnymen. When they was at their sort of their height. And it's the third album from 1983 and it's Porcupine. So it's Iain, Will, Les and Pete. And we've got Shankar on strings. First up is the really good cutter. I think Shankar strings do add to it. It's one of my favourite tracks by Echo and the Bunnymen. When they did it on that other album, it just didn't have the same ring. Definitely a top 10 song for me. Brilliant. The Back of Love. Love Les's bass line on this. Really adds to it. My White Devil. One of Ian McCulloch's great bass vocals, because Leslie's bass line really helps on this as well. The percussion on this from Pete is so delicate in places. Clay, echoey vocals from Iain. I love that when you've got that echoey voice. And then my favourite track is the title track, Porcupine. I like Ian's vocal. Even though it's a little bit off key, it works. It really adds to it. And I think that's what it makes it unique. I know he's not singing out of key, but he's singing in a different key to what the band are playing. And it works. It's a really good track. Heads Will Roll. Acoustic guitar. This is great. Pete's drumming is fine. It's one of his great performances on the drums on a Bunnymen track. Brilliant. Rightness. These early days, the bass was very important, and Les plays well on this. Really good. Higher Hell. It starts off, it sounds like you're in a bit of a sci-fi film. It's really daunting and ambient, and then you get this really good bass line from Les, which really gels it. Good track. Gods Will Be Gods. Another fantastic track. One of my favourite vocals by Iain, and it's the piano work on there that really is outstanding. And we got the last track, In Bluer Skies, classic track, interesting drumming from the beat, and it works. It's different. Not a bad track on here from top to bottom. It's just good solid songs with great tempos and beats. A good all-round album for me. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.1. Okay, coming in at number 3, we go to the fourth album, released in 1984, and it's Ocean Rain. Iain, Will, Les and Pete, of course. And the additional musicians on here, we've got Adam Peters on piano and cello. First track is Silver. Great song. Absolutely top draw. Echo and the Bunnymen. Top 20 song for me. I love the string sound on this. Absolutely brilliant. Nocturnal Me, some lovely acoustic guitar on this. One of my favourite tracks on here, and I love Pete's drumming on here. It's very solid, keeps it together, really good. Crystal Days, very of the that sort of alternate rock of the 80s. What a good song. It's got a lovely echo to it. It's, even though it's the mid 80s sound, there was none of that on here. It just works really well. The Yo-Yo Man, interesting track. It's a little bit different. It's almost progressive in places. Thorn of Crowns, it's got the mystique on this. Pete's drumming is great. The Killing Moon, absolutely top draw track. Ambient, atmospheric, super song. Seven Seas comes next. The guitar work from Will on this is pretty good. We've got My Kingdom. I love the start of this. It's got a lot of a sort of a accordion sound, and then Pete's drums comes in. It's very solid. It's a little gentle track as well in places. But my favourite is the wonderful Ocean Rain, the last track. One of my favourite songs by Echo and the Bunnymen. Lovely vocal from Iain. Pete's drumming is great, and the guitar work and the touches on here from Will are superb. I think this is just an absolutely brilliant album, and I love playing this. Played it quite a lot. It's one of them albums that you just put on and play. It's a really good, got some great tracks on it. It's got different moods. It flows well as well, this album, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, coming in number 2, got the second album from 1981, and it's Heaven Up Here. It's Will, Iain, Les and Pete, with Les penning on woodwind. First track, a great opening track called Show the String. First thing you notice, you got this really great bass line and this eerie guitar sound from Will. Throw in a good vocal from Iain and some solid drumming from Pete, and it's a fantastic song. With a Hip. That new wave sound of the early 80s is coming through on here. It's a great song. It's a great vocal from Iain. Brilliant track. Over the Wall. Favourite track on here. Definitely would get into my top 10. Over the Wall. The guitar work from Will is superb in this. It's just an interesting track, and it's got a great sound. It Was a Pleasure. Pete's drumming on here is brilliant. It's an interesting time signature as well, and it seems everyone's fitting around this sort of time signature of the drumming, especially Will on the guitar. Absolutely wonderful how he does that. I Promise. This is one of those tracks that's got one of them reoccurring riffs that keeps coming in the track all the time. There's some other layer of guitar work on it as well, and that makes it really good. Heaven Up Here, the title track, it's a dominated track by the bass line, and that's what I like about pop music and music at the time. The bass was so important. How many bands had great bass lines? You think of the Smiths, you think of Susie and the Banshees, them sort of bands. It's all that sound. It's really good, but it's the sublime drumming of Pete on this as well. Really good sound. The Disease. The production on this is a little bit oof, but I've heard it live. I found it on YouTube live, and it's pretty good. All My Colours. Again, back in the early 80s, the drum sound was very important on these sort of tracks. It dominates the sound, and it's a great vocal for me. And No Dark Things. Once again, we get this interesting combination of bass riff and guitar riff that sort of reoccurs all through the track, and then you get this strong riff that comes through as well. Really good track. Turquoise Days. There's a little bit of a drum machine in here, I think, but it doesn't spoil to it. It's got some nice guitar work from Will as well. All I Want, the signature sort of sound of the time. Great bass line and drums. Absolutely killer track to end the album. I think this is a classic Echo and the Bunnymen album. So much good music around in the early 80s. This was definitely sort of that alternative rock sound, new wave. We had so much choice. And I remember this album, even though I didn't have it. The music was good. You know, I had a friend that had this album and they always spoke highly of it. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, my number one is the debut album from 1980, Crocodiles. Iain, Will, Les and Pete. And the first track is Going Up. I love this because it's so raw, basic, plug in and go music. Pete's drumming on this is absolutely brilliant. Stars Are Stars, one of my favourite tracks. The guitar work from Will on this is fantastic. He's got some interesting licks on there. Pride, again, the guitar work is good. A great Ian McCulloch vocal, strong track. Monkeys belongs to Les on the bass. He drives the song along, and we've got another great drum beat from Pete. Absolutely brilliant track. Title track, Crocodiles. Maybe one of the shortest tracks on this album, but it is my favourite song by Echo and the Bunnymen. It's just a great raunchy track, really gritty, plug in and go. I love it's raw, and I like them sort of songs. Then we have Rescue. The drumming is great, and it's probably one of Ian's finest vocals. And then we get my second favourite track of all time, Villa's Terrace. So many good things. So the intricate piano bits and Ian's great vocal. It's just an absolute killer track. Pictures on My Wall, another good track. I like that woody sort of click sound on it. It's just a great track. Some nice guitar work. All That Jazz, one of my favourite Les Patterson bass lines ever. Just behind it, you've got this interesting drum beat from Pete that sort of he's keeping in time with the bass. Brilliant. And some, again, Will's guitar work is outstanding. Happy Death Man, drumming on here. The piano is eerie. There's something really eerie about this album. Then you got this sort of brassy keyboard halfway through. Really gives you the shivers. Great track to end the album. Now listening to this quite a lot, I think this is one of the best albums of 1980 that I've heard. Very underrated. Doesn't get the acclaim it should. It's very basic, yes, especially on the production, but it sounds great. Sounds like every track is being played live, and that's what I like about this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Well, there you go. I really enjoyed this, and I'm getting more into this band as I go on, and I am on vinyl. I am definitely looking for the top 3 albums because I think they're absolutely brilliant. Okay, that's all for today because this takes forever to put together. I'll be back tomorrow. Now, definitely up first tomorrow, we have got Pick and Mix tomorrow, which I'm doing the top 10 of 1992 on the 25th of January. And then we've got the Battle Royale, Ian and Dave's round 1 review. It'll come during the day sometimes. Dave's got a couple of things on tomorrow, so we're going to squeeze it in sometime between what Dave's doing. He's got a few things to do with his hospital and that sort of thing. So we'll get it done at some stage. It even might end up as a live review before the live stream. Who knows, but it will be done at some stage tomorrow. So have a great day. It's not so windy here today. We've got a bit of a blue sky. Got a bit of a breeze, but it's certainly a lot better than it was yesterday. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.